Letton Hall, I love you, and the people that are here, you're good people, but the history is mistaught to us. So all I'm looking to do is seek for the truth for us all. Curry no favor, just looking for the truth. And this house is hiding a lot of our history. Peace. Everyone will freely admit that the original plans do not bear any relation to the completed works, but this sketch tells its own story. All of these sketches have the frontage, the mouth or windows at street level. And now, this window has been dug out and turned back into a door. And this window is hidden behind the adaptation that sits in front of us. I think these are sketches too. This is what we found, and this is how we might adapt it. Let's get that in focus. Fascinating. Cleverness of this deception. The why. The big why. Why? Why hide it? Why hide it? Why hide it? Why can't we know the truth? Who are we? And what is this place? If you're interested, you can check this out in your own time. Second Baron. Looks like a local lash. Anyway, I wanted to show you this. This is the basement. It's very tight here. Yeah, I mean, doesn't this just simply look like it's been sunk? I see so much of this. This is where I was repairing the floor joists up at this height. And yeah, again, these doors are just water traps. We're told that this wing here, this piece here, is a later addition. I'm not sure about that. I accept that this is new, except that this is probably hiding or offering something that was once underneath the ground, or became underneath the ground. Just like that beautiful tree was felled by a strong wind, because the truth is the core of it was rotted out. And I'm afraid the truth about this house may be hiding something rotten too. Let's see if we can go inside and find out. Welcome to Letton Hall. This is a later addition to the property. I think this is part of the reclamation project, is to make certain adjustments to cover up the strange floor levels. So here I am walking into the new, as you can see if you look down here, that doorway is not yet dug out on the original sketchings that were done by the guy who reclaims this property. And this, believe it or not, is where the kitchen is now, and it's all over the place. You can see the ramp there that you have to get up into the kitchen. Then once you're in the kitchen, you're in the cooking section, and then you come up one level, a few steps into fridges and so on, and then you come up yet some more steps into this area here, which is where the scullery is. And then down below is where I think they keep all the stock. It's just a joke. And I think that you can see this kind of arch structure all the way down the length of this property, but most of them are either under the mud or have been filled in, bricked in. So this, I'm told, is an original window with oak timbers, sash window. Again, you know, there's some of the window panes are done in pine and some are done in oak, and the story is that these were done to account for different, this has been remodeled so I can't really talk about that, but to account for different types of staff, so that the owners got to have oak wood and pine wood for, I mean, what difference does it make when you're speculating? Look at this, it's quite attractive, quite grand, but again, I've got a feeling because the original floor was way down lower. And the original staircase is probably not this one. Dining room. Would you get the door for me, darling? Other room. Like a drawing room, I suppose. But I imagine this was once a bedroom. I imagine this was once some kind of fancy bedroom on the first floor. Facing, I mean, perhaps it was a living room of some sort or a lounge of some sort. Because it's, you know, as I say, I think this is the front of the building, the original frontage. So,
Maybe in the hallway.
A hallway. But remember, we're now upstairs. This is the first floor of the original. So I think this fireplace would probably be here and possibly here. This might be an original arch because of the deepness of it. Let's see. Is this brick just a skin covering the original red brick? Did the window come flush to the brickwork? Okay.
You can pull through it if you fancy it. I don't.
Yeah, like I say, I think this. A bit of symbolism there. Symbolism here. Yeah, this is probably original, I suspect. But we're told that the staff lived in the upper. They had the best views, the staff. This is what we're told. I think that what's above here was probably reclaimed later, and that this would have been the top floor. So we're in the corner bedroom in the east, northeast wing of the house. Second floor, ostensibly. I can see in the field out there is a flock of voters. But yeah, it's such a beautiful view. So you can imagine if I swing around here and look at the up in the north garden, the north section of the house, what a wonderful view we'd have out the window there. Oh, where's the window? Well, this isn't a window, you would tell me, because it's obviously just a wall. Well, what if I was to go outside of the house and show you the window for this bedroom? What would you say then? Well, it's just a blind window. They built the window on the other side so as to keep a symmetry for the building. They simply didn't want to have the occupants of this bedroom having a beautiful northern vista. That would be just unacceptable to the Victorians. So instead of that, they built blind windows for the blind. So, this is not a blind window. But if we didn't brick in the window to the room adjacent, this would be the view that they would enjoy. Something similar to this. But for some reason, it was deemed sensible to reduce the amount of light into the room. I think the room next door, I mean, to be fair, there is remodeling that has gone on here. I'm not saying that this has obviously been remodeled. But this is, I think this is the original oak as well. It's been refurbed the moment. Yeah, this is the original oak, and this is a window with the same view that you would have if you didn't take the unusual step of putting in a window, and then and it has to be this amount of window. In further along, there's 2 windows, as I've pointed out, bricked in from this side. So this has been bricked in. This bit here is live, but in this space here, it has all been bricked up so that there is none of this depth, none of this travel here, which is up to this shutter. All of that that whole area has been closed in, and we're told they did this on purpose. The originals. Right. Pull the other leg, mate. Really, eh? So you think you block up those windows up there, those 2 windows. You block that up because you didn't want to pay some poxy little tax. Really. I think this would have just been the side of the house. I am sure this set of stairs behind me now. This set of stairs. Okay, so you've got your bearings. There's the field full of voters. I'm at this curious thing here where this is a lovely patio leading to a window, not a door. Again, they tell me that these used to open down here, and they just simply lift up the window so that people could walk out. If this is how originally they built, someone's smoking a crack pipe. Anyway, the bedroom I was just in, that was me giving you the bearings, so you didn't think I was somehow fiddling with you, but that's the bedroom that I was just in. Sorry about the wind, I'm sure it's affecting the audio quality. Remember, in there you can see the curtains. That was the window I was just pushing through. Okay, now I'm going to go around to the front of the house or the back or the north side of the house, where there was only wall. Okay, but what do you see? What do you see, friends? Oh, you see 2 windows blacked in. Why? Because they're called blind windows. Why do you think, what excuse can you come up with that would go, well, let's put in lovely windows, but brick them in so that it darkens the bedroom, so that there's no northern view from those rooms. We have northern view from those rooms, but not from these. Do you really think this is how they designed? Clever people with beautiful construction techniques designed like this, or like this. I'm under the stairs, These are windows. Again, the excuses start to sound really feeble, really hollow, really weak, really not wanting to let go of the fake, false, deceptive reality that you've been fed. Really. This is a retrofit. This is not original, as far as I can tell. This is an add-on. Say there would have been a window here. Maybe it's not. That's been an add-on to cover certain things up or to give them a little bit more capacity, because the rooms are actually very small. There's no grand hall in this whole there is no grand hall. There are people with much smaller houses and much larger rooms in this. What I was going to do was to quickly step back from this building and ask you to remember the original Letton Hall that they said went away may well be 1, 2, 3, 4 windows. Can't see those 2 right now. 4 windows there, and then as you come over to where that lean-to is up there, that's where the original roof feature was that I can show you in this book, and perhaps even an energy harvesting device, but that's obviously speculation. So when you see a window like that, and then adjacent it these closed in boxes, it made me think, I wonder if they were once windows. I'm not sure, but what struck me was these alcoves, which resemble very much these. And I started to think, I wonder if these were once windows too, or to allow light into the other parts of the house, because you've got this beautiful the word escapes me, but glass roof, and so you want as much light into the house as possible from that point, I suspect. And then I noticed that, well, this odd ridge that appears to run all the way around the room. So let's have a look. I'm going to walk round to there, but on the other side of the wall. Let's have a look what we see. And this is what we see. We see, well, for some reason, we've got on this narrow stairwell, we've got brickwork, we got hollow. Why would you fill these in? You see, I was struck by the cracks that have appeared in the plasterboard. This is plasterboard all the way up, not to here, obviously, but there's some interesting anomalies about this place. This has all been shuttered in. You've got to ask the question, could it be this has all been boxed in because it's also hiding something? Makes no sense, does it? Put this strange contraption in here, but no one wants to accept it. And this could have been done. Oh, it's lovely views, eh? Lovely windows. Yeah, but no one wants to accept that this was done after the fact. Again, not meaning to disrespect anybody, just looking for the truth. This is a little back, another one of these back side staircase things. What we have here is alleged to be original, but were they making I-beams in 1780? This is a trolley dolly to take things down through the core of the property into the basement where those sheets are, which I still suggest is a few feet from the original floor. There's so many stairwells, some leading nowhere. But yeah, I'm not sure that this was original. Because the technology in 1780, I'm not sure they were making I-beams like this. By the way, I'm fairly sure that these are concrete. This is not stone. This is poured concrete. They weren't pouring concrete in 1780. I'm pretty sure of that. Concrete, not stone. Again, I think this is altered. This is new. Perhaps they could put new floors in. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. But that looks like concrete to me. I'm in this pokey little bathroom with a pokey little roll-top bath. But I'm more interested in this little contraption. I've been looking at this little lean-to for a while. This is in the, I wouldn't say in the center of the house, but it's, I might have referred to this earlier, but I was told that the water in the, in here, as you can see, I can't open this window unfortunately, but in here, as you can see, there is a window, and there is, this is inside of the property. You can walk around in the corridors there and around there and around to here. But originally, this lean-to wouldn't have been here. This is just a plastic thing that they've put on later. But this goes down into the core of the property. Or was it original? I mean, it makes no sense that someone would actually build, unless they wanted some sort of indoor shower that was outdoor. And I'm just offering some kind of excuse for it, but it's hard to reckon as to what they would have been trying to achieve here. Of course, this drainage that's running down into the core of the building would need, this water would need moving out of the property, off the property. Again, why do this? Why do this? Well, is it possible that these wings? I don't know, actually. I'm at a loss to explain what they were doing with this. Anyway. Slightly different view of it. Again, hard to inexplicable. Why you would create a water trap like this and have roofs feeding into it, unless this was once external. I don't know. It's all very higgledy-piggledy. Soames, I think his name is Soames, went on to build amend the Bank of England. You have to be smarter than this. Well, here we are in an inside space. As I'm sure you can see, this brickwork here Looks original, and this seems to have been plastered later. So I don't know where this is at. This I think was where the original Letton Hall had some kind of roof device. But yeah, this is hodgepodge again. That doesn't sit very well to that. Different style. I don't know if I can see that one there. These squares. Around it always. Is this tagged on later? There's a view over from the upper floor of the main house over to the stables. And as you can see, this is hard for us to maintain in the modern world. These guys get grants from all over the place to try and keep this place afloat, but simple people with very little in the way of technology apparently built this 240 years ago, and in the modern world we can barely keep it from falling apart. Just up in one of these upper rooms, as I said, and have a great view over the front. This is the front of the property. Ping it. You might be getting up there, mate. Trees down. But this is we're seeing like we've got this balcony here, you know, and it looks great. And you think, wow, the sunrise is up there somewhere in the morning. It'd be lovely to get out onto these balconies and enjoy that. But actually, there's no doorway or accessway onto these balconies. There's a window, a tiny window, and they're not designed for walking on, as you can tell. Not now, anyway. But there wouldn't have been a door to this. I think I've got a feeling that this might have been added on a few hundred years ago as part of the alterations to make this place rehabilitable. I've got a feeling this would have been designed as a window. It kind of lends itself to that. It looks identical to the window beneath it. There's a lot of those on this place. And it was all the way down there. They've dug back into the mud to reveal a doorway. What is the kitchen now? Kitchen store. Oh yes, pipe works familiar. This will be original. So you got your bearings. I'm on the right hand side or left as you look at this building. On the front, this is window 1. I think there should be 4 across here, but I can only find 3. Something that I've noticed though is the height of this is, well, I don't have a tape measure, but I can stand underneath this window. So it's 6 foot. This window frame to top, 6 foot. Admittedly, the window frame slopes down, but if I stretch my arm out like this, then it's pretty straight. That's window 1. I was expecting to see 4 windows up here. This window frame I would headbutt. Okay, so it's definitely lower. Oh, this isn't. I need to measure this. This is obviously centered on the fake balcony. You'd expect to see one here, but there's one here now, definitely lower. This window is lower than the others. I think this is part of the remodeling plan. I think there's been adaptations made to hide the truth about the facade being the original Letton. More to follow. So walking into the building, we walk downstairs. We find the downpipe inside. Now, one could say that this was originally outside of the property, but you wouldn't put it, because you wouldn't put a window here, would you really? That makes no sense. Nor would you put a window here. That makes no sense. And when you look up there, in that space, what do we see? Let's zoom in on that. What do we see? We see brick tin archway. Makes no sense. So this could have been the exterior of the property. Wouldn't argue against that. That interior staircase is obviously a later addition. I got no argument with that, but it's interesting that the door, you'll notice the door, it's hard to get a sense of the scale of that, but that door is probably 5 foot at best in height. This brickwork here is modern air brick. It's not, but that leads through to the office, and the office is, I've shown you this possibly before, but this is all brick tin here. So again, archway in there, yeah, and turn on the light, you can see that better. See that? Brick tin, lintel, fresh bricks. Well, when I say fresh, maybe 200-year-old bricks. I want to show you this quickly. This is under the office. I don't want to talk too loudly in case anyone's in there. So I'm at, this is 6 foot, just above my head. The camera's 6 foot down to 4 foot. So this is the floor of the office. Yeah, this is the floor of the office. And this is obviously a modern thing, because they say, oh, this was a very tall room before they took out this, made this tiny storage space here. It's a bicycle, you can see there, which is about the size of the roof space. Let's get out of here. Light off. Now, here's an old electric circuit board. This is phenomenal, isn't it? How it worked in those days. Just a glass cabinet. Fascinating. Fascinating. But this is what I want to show you. Here we've gone down 3 steps, as you can see from back there. That's the original floor. That's the new floor level. I'd say we're getting closer to the original floor level, although maybe we're still above it. Yeah. Again, there's some. This is where the back door. This is a later addition to this sort of downward sloping thing, which they've made to allow for a staircase up to above my head here to get in the back door. I can't be sure, but if you look there into the dark and gloomy section down in front of me, see if we can zoom in on that. Can't get it to focus. But I can see another down there is an arch. So I continue to argue that the original floor level is below that. You wouldn't put an arch like that for no good reason. You'd just put bricks. Can you see that? Unfortunately, I can't get it to resolve very well. I have to take my word for it at this stage. I don't disrespect the people who've given me access here, but I know it would be hard for them to accept that what they've been told about this place is not true. History is mistaught. But I wanted to take you not here, this way. If you're skeptical, hopefully. So we're going back up again. 4 or 5 steps. The question is, are these original? I think they possibly are. So we can go either left. This has been obviously affected lately. Those stairs are probably original. I don't have much argument with that. But this staircase is intriguing. Oops. I have to see the ceiling. Where is that leading to, I wonder? That's just wood. And that leads to another rabbit hole in the back of this building. None of that makes sense, right? Why would you do that? Oh, later remodeling and changing, but let me tell you, if you've got a child to remodel this, they do a better job because it's all over the place. I think that the guy that got to do the remodeling of this is the same guy who got to remodel the Bank of England. More to follow. Some suggest that windows are not bricked in, things are not altered, and those 2 windows there are straddled by just a fancy bit of brickwork. Because that's what people would do. They would put lintels in and they would create window boxes, but just fill them with brick. Nothing to see here, folks. Move on. It becomes so painfully obvious. The amount of alteration, the amount of tomfoolery that's gone on to make this place work in the modern context. And by modern, I mean last few hundred years. Because it's possible that this place is older than that. So I've been vexing myself over the idea that this might be the original Letton Hall, and that this facade here has been altered. I'll take you around the side. You can look at the brickwork over here. It doesn't match the other brickwork. It does look like there's been some changes made. As I've shown you upstairs, that window up there is set lower than that window here. It's not obvious from the outside, but certainly when you go on inside. And then most people will admit, well, it's just commonly accepted that this section here was added on later to extend the library, to make it bigger, apparently so that the owner could put a billiard table in. That's the story. But that this facade here with these concrete pillars was part of the original new build that came in 1780, but not obviously part of the original Letton Hall. And I'm like, oh, but look at these small windows up there matching with these 2 bigger windows. If you look at the original Letton Hall, it's got the same kind of structure going on, which is, you know, you could say, just so they were trying to recreate that. So I thought, let me just measure up the windows and see whether we've got the same number of windows in the original, and unfortunately we don't. Unfortunately, there's only 3 up here, and I'm thinking, gosh, man, maybe they've taken out a couple of windows, because the original Letton Hall had 5 small windows, and maybe they've taken out a couple and hidden them, well, you know, with this new facade. But still, that didn't work. And then I noticed this. Check this out. You know what? Classic misdirection by the powers that should not be, that run this world. I think you know what I'm going to show you. I think you probably know what I'm about to show you. Boom. There it is. 5 windows. 5 windows wide. You've got your classic entranceway pyramid at the top. You know, the existing, or the new facade. Now I'm calling it the new frontage doesn't have that. And equally, see if I can get in that focus. Equally, on the other side of this house, 180 degrees on the other side of this house, you have a smaller pyramid again. So that would definitely indicate that this could have been the original Letton Hall. Obviously, this door here, or this window door, isn't what they say it is. It would have been originally a window. These stairs would have been put in after the fact as part of the remodeling. But below the stairs would have been the original frontage, the original front door to Letton Hall. With this as an easterly view, so with the sun coming up in the morning. And actually, if you think about the frontage that is on this side of the property, the new front, it's sort of on the side of this house, because the full length of this house and the servant staff area and so on all goes back from here. Why would you invite your posh guests to arrive to the side of what appears now, to me anyway, to be the side of the property, which all the staff and everybody else would see them arriving? This is a far more grand view, with everything else tucked behind it. And of course, yeah, I mean, this is the widest frontage now. You know, the other side, as we saw, has got 3 or 4 windows, depending on what you're counting. But this, I'm going to take a still shot, compare it to the original Letton Hall, and see how we look. Heights, width, and yeah, this pyramid tell at the top. So there you go, my friends. The original pre-1780s Letton Hall is right here. What's been added on to the left there is new. What's been added on to the right there, I think, is new, but I'm not absolutely certain. It may be a cladding that's on here. That I'm not absolutely certain about. If I show you the brickwork, as I mentioned just a moment ago, I might have to get closer, but you'll notice the brickwork to the facade of this house doesn't match the brickwork. So, okay, not this facade, but the new facade doesn't match the brickwork to the left of the house. Let me just get you right up close to this. It's much easier to tell from the eye, but there, the center of the shot, let's get this lighting right, there you can see the gaps in the bricks, but from my eye here I can see the different coloration. The patina is different. As you reach up here, you'll notice that the patina is all different. It's as though this facade was tagged on. They just plastered this onto the side of the original building and called it the front. So a very interesting thought stream developing at the moment, which is that this area here could be just to the outside of the frame, could have been the original house. And then the cladding brick is added on the outside, which is why this all looks so very thick. Obviously that's a regular size brick. When you look at the way that it's fixed to the building, or to the unit, you can tell that it's fair to say that there could have been frame replacements over the years, and repointing would have been required. But I'm just starting this line of investigation that all of this light color brick is a cladding. See, I was just in under there, wasn't I? That little outcropping was original, I suspect. Cladded. See that? This window's being replaced. It's really labor intensive. Or rather, the frame is being repaired. Replacing them are almost impossible. The workmanship and craftsmanship that goes into this, but yeah, that's interesting. Hey, how it does look like a modern skin, but it's fair to say that, you know, works could have been done on these at times. So, I mean, they claim that they haven't been restored in all their time, but one could offer that as an excuse or a theory as to why. My cladding theory is not going to hold water. Let's see. And so we're all about symmetry here, and this window here, which is the first window of the house, or the right hand side of the house, should match. Okay, obviously underneath here are the windows, I've looked at them, they all match the same as that. Not this one. Even the lintel doesn't match. So I suspect that when they were doing the refurb, something needed to change about this window. But obviously, as you can see, they're all rounded brick lintels under here. Whilst this is a concrete, more modern affair. Like the windows, the other windows are sash, and this one is not. Might even be metal, but no. Is it wood? It's wood. I'd hazard that it was a pine rather than the original oak as well. Yeah, welcome to Letton Hall. The original Letton Hall. Gosh, isn't that fantastic? I mean, to me, this is like a clear evidence of historical fudging. Hopefully this has helped some people to see through some of the misinformation and disinformation that is hiding our history. There is a small pyramid on the new frontage. I doubt that that's original. I think that's a later attempt to give this new frontage some sense of grandeur. But these concrete pillars are all done by the modern refurbishers. And behind that they're hiding some kind of big brick or block. Again, it's not original. But here's my point about the side of the house. I mean, if this was your frontage, why would you have all of this staff quarters attached to your facade, to your beautiful facade? You wouldn't. You've got the main road behind you, and that would have been an original main road to Norwich. But you wouldn't. You would much more likely. I suspect there was once upon a time 4 windows across the front here, not 5 as you see on the front of the house. You don't do the front of the house less impressive than the side of the house. That's just not good cricket. So this is the additional section that I suggest if you look at the first brick into this corner, you'll notice a discoloration in the brick, but also in the mortar. It's a little harder to be certain of that as I get higher, but right up there is what appears to be some fiddling going on. Similarly with the brickwork above this window and between those two windows, it's like the fit is not right. Has this been remodeled at the front? Was that changed? Anything's possible. My preferred theory right now is that this section here, with these two windows, would have had a third window above it, actually. I think they've maintained the original third window or third floor, if you like, which is within that space, but actually, again, we're at the facade of the new entrance to Letton Hall, and as you can see by the brickwork, there's definitely a later tampering gone on to the old structure, and that tampering is far more obvious up here. As you can see, that's definitely not the same brick, is it, friends? Or it might be the same size brick, it might even be original brick, I don't know, but you can tell that that's not one build. So this facade or the side of the building has been altered. You'll notice how the window is boxed, and you'll see that with this next window too. Exactly the same, except it's now a door with a ramp, a concrete later addition ramp. So much alteration. Any bets that red brick and the brick above was original? Something's been changed. Was this originally a window that's now a door? Because that's possible, but I suspect that it's hard to be certain. It's a door below the ground, of course. As I come around here, this is that area that I looked at before and couldn't understand what was going on. Why the older brickwork on the corner, or the discolored brickwork on the corner, and the seemingly newer color stone or brickwork, which matches some of the other parts of the building, but really when you look at that closely you realize perhaps what they did was they cut off the original Letton Hall's south wing, or whatever it's, I suppose it would be the west wing, and they cut that off and bricked it all in again, which may explain why those windows up there are not true across the floor. They're not the same height, as I pointed out before. They're not the same height across the facade of this building, which really beggars belief. But because I think there were 5 small windows at the top, they've obviously filled in 2 of them, or 3 of them, and then centered the third one. So there is a center small window just above there, above that fake balcony. This turnout here is all, I would suggest to you, new add-ons to hide the original nose and the original front of this building, the Letton Hall. Scullery. I suggest that this would have been a proper entranceway Possibly taller than it might have been. This might have been added on here. These floor levels are all off into the kitchen. But I think we're leaving the house, the main house, and into the secondary house, the house adjacent. And through here would have been this, what is now a small box window on the outside, will have an impressive arch, and I think would have run through, not on this floor necessarily. Oh, look at that. Again, arched, domed. Why create that in a cupboard? You know, what's this? Pretty solid, that. Hey, this door is open. I think this is one of the original doorways to the house. Possibly a new floor level. Possibly the original floor level was lower and the door was deeper. So thick, this wall. Handspan, handspan, handspan. Not quite 3 foot. Where does that lead? And this is storage. I think this is one of the main entrances. This is one of the main spaces of the house. The ceiling was obviously higher. Yeah. It's all the way. Okay. Been here before. Didn't realize it. Sorry, Danny, but needs must. So this is probably the front wall, and we've got 2 meters. That's all we've got on the outside. This is that nose at the front, just to here, actually, just beyond here, I think. So, was this originally a window or a door? You can see how thick this wall is. Yeah. Thick and solid. Huh? Really solid. Oh, not original. Through here to what is the store now, but really probably the front receiving room of the house once upon a time, I suspect. Oh, that's solid. Oh, that's super solid. That's into the ground right there. So this is a modern floor, as you can see by the cinder blocks or whatever, the concrete slabbing. Yeah, which is, this is the receiving area, and up the stairs into the main house now. But I just got a feeling that this was the main receiving room. This wall feels solid. Of course that doesn't. Space, and of course the ceiling is not the original. It would have gone higher. Just a few more images for people to consider when you say, oh, they're not altering things, they're not changing things. This is a door with 2 windows either side of it. These may once have had windows in them, but I wouldn't want to press on that. But would you want to hold fast to your idea that they're not altering things? And you look at the other side is just a half window, and what clearly is a latter modern brick insertion to change this window, this door, to a window. Again, with the stables, as are known, you've got that which might have been a much bigger entranceway, and then a more modern door or a later door was added. No, you say, that's impossible. Well, how about this? That's the opposite side. no door, just a window stuck in there. And clearly the brickwork has been tampered with. It's newer brickwork. Not convinced that this might have been entranceways, then later bricked up. Well, what if I was to show you this little window here? Would you say this is a later addition? And that was just done by some builder looking to practice his skills? And these odd looking fixtures with that cut down there and that cut up there. Oh, there's so much evidence of refurbishment. A smoking gun, not evidence enough of itself that but we don't know exactly what this place was used for or why they needed to make such dramatic alterations. Now this brickwork is interesting to me because I can't understand why it's all pitted with holes, and there is hundreds and hundreds of square meters of brickwork that's equally pitted. I have a theory. I'm sharing that with you now, but I'll share that with you now. But I don't know. And then you come to this, for example, and this is new brick, later addition. No pitting whatsoever, but both sides of this wall, and this is a very big so-called walled garden, is pitted like this. And I've got a theory that perhaps there was something covering this wall at some point, and then it was blasted, sandblasted, like a plaster of some sort, and then it needed to be cleared because it didn't fit the historical narrative. Now, I'm fascinated by these walled gardens. Is it what they tell us, or are they what they tell us, or was it something else? As you can see, it's a large space, and the walls throughout are pitted. This doorway feels to me like it's been altered, but I might be mistaken on that. There was obviously at one point a very heavy door hinged on there. But yeah, you've got the entire quadrangle, or rectangle, as Alexander would call it, is pitted. So is that just a wear and tear thing? And these are hundreds of years old bricks, so I'd be happy to accept that some kind of winter time moisture cracking could perhaps cause that effect, but perhaps it's even something in the brick itself, or a fungus of some sort that can attack and feed off the brick. There's a doorway that was obviously closed later on, and a few other features here that have been shut off. But yeah, it's just another one of the curious conundrums of Letton Hall. What caused the bricks to become so pitted? And they're deep. Sometimes the holes are very deep. Flaws in the bricks. And I mean, even my sort of sandblasting theory doesn't really hold up when you look at a honeycomb like that. You can think, oh well, maybe they've attached something to the walls over the years, but it's just everywhere. It's over every, other than the modern stuff up there, it's over every square inch of this entire structure. you know. Oh, sorry. Oh, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to get up there and clear some gutters all the way around. It's just a start. I think I'm going to have a bit of a high up day today. Oh, that was never a window. It was always intentionally designed to simply look like a window for symmetry purposes. Additional lighting in that room wasn't necessary because they knew eventually electrification would mean they wouldn't really need to worry about that. And as I keep saying, this is the add-on. Everyone knows that this was added on. They admit that this was added on later on. But one of the curiosities is that underneath here, there's no basement area. Underneath none of this is there any basement. So one might say, oh well, this is the later addition. Understandable that there'd be no basement because basements have got harder and harder to develop in the modern times. But here, this is meant to be the original nose of the current Letton Hall. Every other part of Letton Hall has basement, but not here. But here, let's have a look. I think the original Letton Hall had a structure coming off the side of it. Now, this is obviously pushed. This has been pushed out on the original line, so we're stepping back to it. But I think, again, you'll notice it's a different brick all the way up, and it gets more obvious the higher up we go. I'll zoom on in up there. As you can see, even gaps are visible from this low resolution. So I think what happened was there was something else sticking out the side here, and they removed it and then finished the house on this side a little bit like the rest. But you'll notice, I think that window was one of those. That window was one of those that didn't meet the same height as the windows on the fascia. Weird. I mean, it may have something to do with fiddling around with floor levels, but you'll notice just beneath the window, lintel or box at the foot of the window, the brickwork is all gappy and very poor quality. I mean, it's arguable that that's the case across this facade anyway. Down here, this again looks pretty shabby. But you know, these could have been much bigger windows that were then bricked in after the fact. I mean, you'll notice just something else that's come to my attention is that this window here, just like the others, has got the inset, the inlay. But this one doesn't. Which, you know, you could say it does aesthetically balance with that side of the house. So I can't really call foul on that. But it may well be that there was something else added to here or changed here. Seems like it would have made sense that these were, at least one of these was a door at some point. Let's see if the facade, I mean, this is a weird place. If you go down into the house itself and you realize there's a very strange dungeony dark room place down here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to it again, but in here is a window, and down in there is a really strange dungeon. Well, it's dungeon now. I suspect it was part of the original ground floor and therefore very important. The layout of the original ground floor is an interesting thing, because once you realize that this was your ground floor down here, then the rooms and the spaces that have been subdivided subsequently belie the true grandness of these rooms. I suspect that this was called Letton Hall because it had an impressive hall. Now there's no real impressive hall here at all. I think it got washed away. Yeah, curiously, I mean, in terms of the conversation about the fascia, so you'll notice that this facade up here has got 5. I know I've looked at this before, but there's 5 windows along, 5 small windows at the top. Some of them I think have been bricked in because they're blind windows, because window tax. You know, very wealthy people couldn't afford window tax, so they would rather just pay for the money to brick them up. It's schoolboy logic. Anyway, what I noticed though, if I look at and I've got the sun in my eye here, so I might just move the camera into the shadow, so you can see what I'm going to point out. Okay, so the brickwork, I would suggest to you, my friends, on the corner of this building is original, because I can't see any fiddling, any changes of color, anything like that, you know, throwing a critical eye on it. These are 2 bricked in windows. The one above it is bricked in too, as far as I know. There's another one just around the corner there, also being bricked in. Oh, sorry about the fingers. Yeah, so that looks like original stone to me. I think that window may have been, that window there may have been altered at some point. You know, I've got to allow for a little bit of natural subsidence. They say that this was not original, but I wonder if this was originally on the side of the building. Like one of the features that got moved around might have been this. I only have one original picture to work from for the original Letton Hall, and so I can't see all the way around. But I will point it out to you again that this is a square building. This main house is a square building, and it's 5 windows on this side. Why are there not 5 windows on the other side? Why is it not balanced? There's 5 windows on this facade, there's 5 on that, down this side. There's only 3 on the front. If that's the main house, you know, you're going to make that as impressive as possible. That's the logical consideration anyway. Then, as I said, I think that they possibly cut down one of the stories of this house. This brickwork looks pretty true to me here, but on the other side, the brick seems to have a step to it, as though a lot of changes were made. Like this first level has one color brick, and then immediately the level above it has a different color brick. So it does beg the question whether this wasn't altered. And some days I wonder whether this wasn't the front view, or the front of the property. However, you would expect the best side to be getting the sun, the south-facing side, which is opposite to me, the opposite side. Just a little bit of flooding, some people say. Localized flooding. I don't think so. Yeah, I've seen this everywhere. I've visited now, everywhere. Europe. I know it's in southern Africa. Now, I've seen it on hilltop towns and valley towns. A deluge of the sort that's just a local flood would leave no sediment or very little sediment on the top of the hill. It would all be gathered in the foothills, in the valleys. Not evenly distributed like like a tide coming over the whole land. Now, I even suspect that, or I suggest that the Sahara Desert, the Kalahari Desert, the Namib Desert, the Gobi Desert, these are ancient places where people lived. But the sand, just like in Angola, just engulfed the place. And consequently, the Europeans perhaps had a backup plan, and they rushed in to fill the gaps. It's a matter of common historical agreement, for what that's worth, that the southern few million square miles of the tip of Africa was uninhabited by African people at the time that the Europeans arrived there in the 1600s. So were they trying to repopulate a place that got washed away? So this side, this first section, seems to have true, to an extent it seems to be true in terms of the brickwork. But when you go there, all of a sudden, you're talking about a different colour stone altogether, just along there. And the number of alterations, door closures, and so on that we see. Yes. Even that, which I think might well have been part of the recut when they cut this section in here. That is a new window box. It appears newer from the inside, and I think that had to. They closed that nose off there. Once they cut this off here, they closed that nose in with a window, of course. Yeah, we get into that conversation about how some windows frames are made of just pine wood, and some. This is from the horse's mouth, the guy who's repairing all of these window frames. He says these ones here are typically they'll be the oak, and then the ones in the so-called servants' quarters are pine. But I think that again this was part of the refurb job on the old Letton Hall. I hope I can prove it. Okay. I'm on the roof. I don't have long. But this is an addition, I'm sure of it. The brickwork isn't the same, the colour's the same. The quality, yeah, look at that. Well, you can't see it possibly, but it's not a straight line. I'll show you something on the other side. This is over here. I'll try and come back around in a second. Got the fighter jets flying over here. Killers from the government. Yeah, I was once one myself. So, no foul, boys. That view. I think those windows. Those stable windows, those 6 windows there, are from the facade or from the inside of this building. Look at the brickwork. Does that look original to you? What about that? So much changing. I think the original roof went away. Surveyors were here yesterday. I reckon this roof is 100 years old. I see. Could be more. No problem with that, but maybe the saying is not 280, 220, 240. It's meant to be known. They admit this is not the original roof. They have to acknowledge that this is not the original roof, even to the age of 240. this is all been cut through. This was a new. The original roof was all gone, and this was patchwork that they put onto the original facade. Go down here. Got to take it a bit easy. These are very old slates, but they're not 200 and odd years old. This is what they want to admit. Say. Another view. Makes no sense. So you got two. Not as well pointed. Let's go see. I'm developing this theory. Walk past this every day and not realize that this is actually red brick too, just like the courtyard. Same kind of brick, same kind of bone looking stuff inside it. We're in the courtyard here. Is this original? It's been covered. Is this new? And it's some other stone. Has this whole house? No, they haven't coloured this house, have they? There's got to be something else to this red brick thing. It's all over. I can look behind the surface. Yep. There are these patches of exposed brick. Remember this room? Oh, I just happen to be back down here. And again, you cannot help but notice that there is a lot of jiggery pokery going on underneath here. The arch goes the other way. No, you can't see that. You can't see that. There's the red brick here. This is replacement. May not be red. The original. It's red. So what is the outside? And why are the levels all off? And why has it all been covered? Why do that? Oh yeah, I wanted to have a look in here. That's red brick too. Is it original? Doesn't look original, it looks new. Good Lord. Red brick. Oh gosh, I wish I could see here. Need to turn my torch on. I don't know if I can do that. Okay, I've got a door open. This is the fire door. Recognize that? What the hell is all this? It's just a cave that goes... I can't see it all in here. But I'm up against the front wall, right back wall, or an original hallway or entranceway, which I would suggest to you. I don't know. Is this door original? This makes no sense. Unless this was a door and I'm at the sill level, or a window, because that's a window. This could have been a window or a door, and it's been, looks like this brickwork may be added later to cover up some of this entranceway, as you can see it. And you can't see. Gosh. Mystery. Red brick. Original Letton. Ah, here's the doorway. There's a doorway, as you can see. The brickwork is replaced and filled it in. Why a door here? William Stagg, 2-year prison and hard labour. William Huttard. Jake Hunter, 21, transport or something. Can't see this. Robert Buckley. Something hard labour. It's either someone's having a joke, or this is legit. That's interesting, because whoever filled this brickwork in could have been the same people that wrote on this wall. Robert Buckley, Jake Lake, John Lake. I'm going to take a photo of this wall. Clearer. Okay, let's get out of here. Sorry, John. I mean, no disrespect, but this is too important. I want a false floor. You can hear it creaking underneath me. And that doorway isn't set right, is it? But this is one of those curious windows that doesn't match all the others in here. Is this a later addition to balance things out, or was this a door? Curious. Mud flood at Letton Hall. Here's the truth, my friends. It's a mind blower. I'm going to rip the lid off this historical deception. This house sunk under the mud, and this is the front of a very old house. Thanks for watching. Well, there you are, friends. What is the true history of Letton Hall? Are we seeing the true, original red brick? The original Letton Hall. I'll let you be the judge of that. Only you can be the judge of that. Because really at the end of the day, this is all programming. And what I'm saying is that we haven't been told the truth. This is the way to where the prisoners were held, or the prisoners scratched their names. How do we know the difference between deception and truth? But Letton Hall is definitely hiding some secrets. Hope this has been useful. Just had Jason of the Disbury family call up and offer me the use of the Globe Light tour van as accommodation. So from this to the Globe Light tour van. So is this really the front of Letton Hall as designed by John Soames in 1786? Or is this merely a facade erected by John Soames in 1786 to hide the side of the original Letton Hall that predates 1786 by a long time? And I suggest that it offers tantalizing clues to the potential that this building is 300 years old, maybe 400 years old, maybe older, but it belies, its construction belies the narrative, the historical narrative of the construction of buildings. This yellow brick here, I think, is only a cladding, and this facade, this portico, this area here, and this is admitted to be added on later on. This, I can show you, has been added on later on. That bit there, I think, was an original buttress or a section out on this side, on this south-facing wing. But the east-facing wing, around the corner, well, that, I think, is the original front of the original Letton Hall. Mind-blowing. Because what's missing here is one story that would have been here before. All of that was knocked down, and the second story was knocked down and replaced. We can tell that these are new bricks in this second story. And behind all of that is red brick.